In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Hi, and welcome into Eye on Retirement, the weekly show that keeps you in the know about all things retirement. I'm your host, Rick Everett, along with the full panel in this episode, beginning with Larry Kloefkorn, founding partner at Market Advisory Group, Joshua Cicora, our lead CPA with Market Tax Services, Bill Vawter, Senior Medicare Advisor with Market Medicare Advisors, and Gerald Eidelman with Eidelman Law Firm. And we've got a lot to cover, so we'll jump right in this edition. Larry, I've observed scenarios, sadly, where one spouse dies, and then more often than not, it's a brand new world for the surviving spouse. Now, if the death is after a time of illness when the surviving spouse knew it was inevitable to arrive, there's naturally conversations that were had, at least to know where the financials could be found. But in this particular case, it was unexpected. It was a tragic, sad, unexpected death, and that led to a particularly complex situation.
Yes, it did. You know, a shock like that, it doesn't really matter what age you are. If your spouse passes away very unexpectedly, it's a shock to the system, and you almost don't know where to start. You know, I hear people all the time talk about that they felt like they were in a cloud, you know, during that time when they look back on it later. And, you know, the ones that can get good, reliable help. And in this case, this was a family member who listens to our Retire Hour radio show, and he emphasized to her the importance of getting complete and accurate information. And so that's what was the driving force in terms of her making an appointment to come in and meet with us.
Kind of set the scene, if you could, for us.
Okay, so here was a situation where she was in her late 40s, or she is in her late 40s, and her husband was around that same age, and he passed away, and you know, so she gets this new information, this new news one day, and as it turns out, he was the primary financial person of the family. You know, oftentimes we talk about that one of the spouses is a chief financial officer, and in their case, it was him. And so, you know, if people at an older age, or let me put it this way, if people who have a terminal illness and they know that it's coming inevitable, then they have the opportunity to kind of discuss where to find things.
Well, they have time on their side.
Yes, but in this case, she wasn't entirely sure. And so we kind of started that out, and had a conversation that was ongoing, and then I asked her, I said, what are the most important things to you that if we were to start somewhere to give you stress relief, what would that be? And she says, I'm really concerned about how all of this is going to affect my taxes. And so that was the perfect time to bring our CPA in. Joshua came in to address some of those matters.
Joshua, the widowed woman told Larry she was first concerned about taxes. Generally speaking, there are several contributors in how taxes are handled differently with a surviving spouse versus a married couple. Share with us, if you would.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things going into play there. There's, like Larry kind of talked about, the shifting responsibilities and the extra duress that can create. And so when we met with her and we started talking and unpacking what they had going on, we had to start talking about what kind of assets and income they were dealing with. So in this case, there was life insurance proceeds, so we had to talk about how that's treated for tax purposes. The good news was, death benefits aren't taxable. There's just can be some interest that accrues that is taxable. So we kind of talked around that. We talked around the different retirement assets that were in play, and how because she was the beneficiary and a spousal beneficiary at that, then she gets to have some options that regular, if it wasn't a spousal relationship, they wouldn't qualify for, and how that was good news and a relief. We were able to kind of explore the other assets were in play, how filing returns would work, for this year now that he passed, and she would have to sign but deal with him on the return still. And so we were able to speak into those questions and provide some answers and some relief, which I think she appreciated. And then we were also able to talk about what was on her shoulders now, taking over that, like Larry talked about, that chief financial role in the family, about dealing with the taxes that were previous, and how I can, as a CPA, help out there and speak into that space, how I'm able to go and get information out of the IRS on her behalf and get her caught up on some of the pieces that she didn't even know about. And catch her up on kind of, the story thus far, so to speak, and let her know where she's at and what we need to do to get any previous issues that she may not even be aware of at the current time, get that caught up and get her so that she's not in this kind of free fall, so to speak, but that she can kind of get her arms around what's going on, with Larry and I working together, and get comfort behind what's happened, and then move forward both on the tax issues, on how the taxes are going to impact the future finances, and move forward with some confidence, I think.
Larry, what else did you do in this first meeting?
Well, I suggested to her the importance of checking under every rock to see if her husband had other accounts or benefits from former employers, not just the one that he was at when he passed. And because they need to claim, she would need to contact them and file a claim. And other places is like, if he belonged to any unions, oftentimes they have benefits in this case. You never know if there is something still out there. Many banks offer a small insurance policy for death. Many credit card companies have a small policy, but all of those small pieces start to add up. If they are available, we certainly want her to have that opportunity and access to them.
Larry, we talk a lot about estate planning and retirement planning. This almost feels more like preparation is something that people need to be keeping in mind.
That's true. They truly do. And in speaking of estate planning, at that first meeting, I brought Gerald in, our estate planning attorney, so that he would have that opportunity for an introduction, although we were set up for a later meeting to really address those items.
And you've already talked about the search for money and tax implications. Next, in our next segment, we're going to share with you about that phone call to the Social Security Administration and an unexpected fly in the ointment. We'll be coming back with more Eye on Retirement, but if you would like to give us a call and set up your own complimentary no-obligation consultation, our operators are standing by right now for you at 316-252-8707. Also, coming up later in this show, we'll have a viewer question. And if you would like to leave us a viewer question, you also can do so at eyeonretirement.com. If you leave us a physical address, we'll even send you a complimentary Eye on Retirement coffee mug. And we'll be back with more Eye on Retirement right after this.
When people work with Market Advisor Group, they get a feel of sense of family. There's a lot of relationships that are made and going on in this conference room, And we really take a lot of pride in that and a lot of satisfaction in that.
Every client we work with, we make a custom-made plan to fit them and help reach their goals in life. Another thing that makes us unique is we want to meet regularly with our clients and have reviews.
Market Advisory Group, we have a process, and the process we take people through is first to understand what they have, understand who they are, and then we put together an income plan for them and show them how they can look forward to retirement and not look, though retirement is going to be a stressful time. It needs to be a stress-free time.
A few unique features of working with Market Advisor Group is holistic in-house financial consultants. We've got an in-house CPA, Joshua, an in-house estate planning attorney, Gerald, an in-house Medicare advisor, Bill. We rely on all of those professionals for, again, additional service within our consultative process, making sure that we've got the advice and the expertise behind the recommendations that we make.
You know, as an advisor, I'm not there to sell them one way or the other. I'm there to educate them, to let them know what their choices are. Then I try to help them make the right choice where they can save money and feel confident in their decision.
Absolutely, the best part of my job is getting a stack of paperwork from somebody and they don't know what to do, and then I can turn around and give them back a tax return, but also to be able to explain what they can do next year that will give them a better answer than what they had this year.
When we've got clients that are calling and they need to help out a child or need to help out a grandchild or need to help themselves out and they're in a situation they didn't expect to be in, I really relish the opportunity to help them through that, help them make the educated decisions in somewhat stressful situations, because a lot of folks don't have that type of counsel.
We meet with so many people one-on-one in this office that don't ever end up becoming a customer or doing business with us, and that's okay. But when they leave our office, we know that we've helped them either get some answers to some of the questions they had or get some clarity on maybe their own path.
But one of the things that we hear all the time is, I wish I would have met you guys 10 years ago, because how much further could I be down the road? Well, Johnny Appleseed said, you know, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. And so if we can help people today going forward, that just brings an incredible amount of comfort and excitement for us to come to work every day.
Hi, and welcome back into Eye on Retirement. In our first segment, we were sharing with you a little bit about a woman who was widowed much earlier than one would anticipate happening, in their 40s, I believe you said, Larry. And so before that first meeting with this woman ended, you scheduled the next meeting because she had some very specific circumstances.
She did. And so it had to involve Social Security. And so, you know, you can't get into the Wichita office and actually meet with someone unless it's to drop something off. Mm-hmm. And so all of the appointments that you have when you talk to someone at the Social Security office, those appointments happen on the phone, and they're scheduled about 6 weeks out. So mm-hmm. They had told her, here's the time when we can meet. They set the day, and they told her, we will call you at 9:01 a.m.
Not 9:02.
Right, 9:01. And I kind of did an eye roll, which they chuckled at. And the reason I did so is I'm not picking on government, because whether it's government or private company, if they tell you they're going to call you at such a specific time, you can pretty much figure that it'll be any time but 9:01.
Right.
You know, and sure enough, it was about 6 minutes off. But that's neither here nor there. But this conversation was important because she has a disabled son. And so he was going to get some benefits, but she also would get some survivor benefits as well. I asked Gerald to come to that meeting so he could maybe catch out if there's anything that his expertise could help. So,
Gerald Eidelman, Eidelman Law Firm, how did you come into play in this meeting?
Well, I mean, one of the big things that were present in this situation was a disabled child. And we needed to be aware of what was going to happen to him. And in this case, the Social Security had an exception. Usually the surviving spouse can't take any retirement benefits from the deceased spouse until a certain age. She was in the special place where she was the sole caretaker of her disabled child. So she would actually start getting Social Security benefits now. So would her disabled child. Now, the problem was that the disabled child was dependent on Medicaid and other government programs. And if he started receiving income, there was a great possibility that he would lose some or all of these benefits. So we had to investigate and make sure if there was some way to protect his benefits. And that's one of the things that, because they were ready to set everything up, but then she mentioned the fact that this might have an issue with his benefits, and that caused us to do a little research to see how we can avoid him losing his Medicaid benefits.
Now, that was an especially important catch on your part. You also had other planning that's particularly important to this case as far as a special needs trust?
That's right. I mean, whenever you have, people don't realize that whenever there's a disabled person who may inherit from a parent, a grandparent, it doesn't matter who, if they are going to be depending on government services, whether it be Medicaid, Social Security Disability, and many other programs that are available for disabled individuals, if you leave assets directly to that individual, you will be disqualifying them for most of those benefits. So what the law allows us to do is to be able to set up a trust called a special needs trust and set that money aside in such a way that the money can't be used to deny the disabled person from the available services, but at the same time, they will have a lifetime use of that money to supplement what the government may be providing.
Bill Vawter, Market Medicare Advisors, knowing that every client's needs are different, share with us how Medicare generally works for the disabled before age 65.
Generally, when someone qualifies for Social Security disability, once they have been on Social Security disability for 24 months, they will automatically receive a Medicare card in the mail. They could opt out of it, but most people don't at that point. They receive the card at about the 23rd month, and then it goes into effect once they've been on it for 2 years. That creates an open enrollment for them to access various parts of Medicare. They will get an open enrollment at that time, and then they will get another open enrollment when they reach age 65.
This is just one example of many, many that take place here at Market Advisory Group that involve the financial aspect of planning, the tax ramifications and tax planning that come with it, Medicare as well as estate planning. And we do it all under one roof with everybody around the same conference table. If you would like to set up your own complimentary, no obligation consultation, our operators are standing by at 316-252-8707. Again, that's 316-252-8707. Or if you'd like to go ahead and book a consultation online, you can do so at ionretirement.com. Coming up in our next segment, we will have a viewer question for you, and we'll do that right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Hi, and welcome back into Eye on Retirement. As promised, we have a viewer question that was submitted to us and information that many of you may find useful. Larry, I'm going to pose it to you. This question comes from Ava. And Ava says, I have a retirement account that I paid taxes on up front. I'm interested in moving this account to my TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan. And that's an account that she has with her employer. Ava asks, is this something I can do, and how will the tax situation work?
You know, this is an example, Ava, that most people do ask a financial advisor for this information. And a financial advisor really shouldn't get into this area because it is so specific. And so this is a perfect time when, you know, we pull in a CPA, and the tax expert, the tax advisor, and the financial advisor can sit together with her.
Yeah, this is often a point in a meeting where Larry pulls me in. And to specifically address her question, yes, it is something you can do. The question is that what is best for you, or is that what you should do? So typically TSP plans, like many other employer plans, are done on a pre-tax basis. So the taxes are deferred until you retire. But as Ava said, she's already dealt with the taxes. So she could move it into the TSP account. I believe it does have an option that allows those funds to be handled. However, by doing so, she's stuck with having it into that TSP account until she leaves government service. Or if it was a private employer, the same boat. What may better service her situation is to roll it out to a IRA. If it's already been, taxes have already been addressed, she could roll it out to a Roth IRA, most likely, not have to deal with any other tax consequences. And then once she's ready to retire, those funds are sitting there tax-free, ready for her to use at her discretion.
In addition to this viewer question, we've covered many facets to the complex situation that we shared that the widow is facing in segments 1 and 2. What are your concluding thoughts on the case with the widowed woman that we discussed in the prior segments, Larry?
You know, when I suggested to her to have that second meeting be for the Social Security phone call that she was going to receive, I told her the benefit of having that here at the office, because then I could have the entire team on standby. And you could physically see her reaction to that, as she knew that that's exactly what she wanted, knowing that she'd be surrounded by the expertise. So that, of course, is very important, to have that complete team. Now, there are some people out there that say, but my situation is simple, and I probably don't need this. And you know what? You just don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
That's right. And so we oftentimes ask the question, if there was something that was going to cost you thousands of dollars, either now or in the future, when do you want to know that? Well, it's pretty unanimous, I believe. Everyone's going to say now, as soon as possible. And then another thing that we're oftentimes ask is, what in particular, or which is a why question, I'm sorry. If there was something that someone who chooses to work with a financial advisor would want to pay for incomplete advice, why would you want to do that? You know, work with someone that you get the complete advice with the whole team. What we aim to do at a Market Advisory Group is more than you'll find with most other advisors. We have a lot of financial solutions to include in a plan, but we have this whole team in an effort of offering retirement assurance. That's our goal.
And as you stated earlier, an investment advisor, isn't legally able to give tax advice, as an example.
Right.
It's kind of like going to a mechanic for a heart diagnosis.
Yes. Not what I would want to do.
You know, the beauty of having one team all under one roof, we've got the estate planning with Gerald Eidelman from Eidelman Law Firm, as well as the Medicare advice, Bill Vawter with Market Medicare Advisors, and our lead CPA with Market Tax Services. And all of you guys, in more cases than not, end up around the conference table as a team for one price and are able to offer that complete advice. Have you found, Joshua, that it saves people a lot of time, that they're not having to chase around? Okay, so they go to location A and visit with their financial advisor, then across town to see their CPA. The Medicare person may be a who knows who online.
Many occasions where I'm sitting there explaining something about Medicare to people, and inadvertently, somehow, some way, a tax question comes up. I mean, I've called on him a number of times to come in and answer questions. I've gone to Gerald too. I mean, you would think with Medicare it wouldn't affect taxes or legal stuff, but the questions come up, and I can't answer them.
And I think, Larry, you said it all in the best two words you could, and that's retirement assurance. And that's exactly what the team at Market Advisory Group offers. From the financial planning aspects to the tax implications and tax planning, as well as the Medicare advice and estate planning. And it is all under one roof for your convenience. As was stated earlier, why would you pay for incomplete advice? If you'd like to set up a complimentary, no-obligation consultation, our operators are standing by right now to take your call at 316-252-8707. Again, 316-252-8707. And if you'd like to leave us a viewer question online, you can do so at ionretirement.com. Leave your physical address, and we'll even send you a gift. That's all the time we have for this week. I'm Rick Everett, reminding you we're here to keep an eye on retirement.
This broadcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or is excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Legal services are offered by Eidelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.